very portable, huh?
Yeah, I just picked it up and plugged it in here.
What does it have to? It has to attach to a laptop to actually get on the net, or does it? That's not self-contained, right? Very portable, huh?
Yeah, it needs it uses USB to a laptop and
Right.
and power, and that's it.
So is this something we could have at the synagogue?
Well, that's what we asked. We want to borrow one to see how it would work for Books and Bagels.
Mhm.
So yeah, if we could borrow the towns, that would be great. Somebody's going to ask the Farnsworth if we could borrow it. There's
It works great, I think.
Yeah,
yeah.
works quite well. Okay. For some reason, I don't know if any of you have ideas, but the select board meeting on Monday, I was live streaming on Zoom. The whole time it said I was live streaming, and it cut out after 20 minutes. So I'm going to be watching the live stream during this meeting just to make sure that doesn't happen.
And I'm going to be eating during this meeting.
All right, well, let's call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Start with public comment. I don't see any members from the public. Does anyone have comments from the public they'd like to bring to the committee? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the approval of the minutes from December 1st. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion moved by Stephen. Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, second by Jay. Any discussion? Okay, great. Seeing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Arlene, how do you vote?
I vote to accept them.
Okay, Jay?
Yay.
Michael?
Yay, and these are the last ones I'm doing, so double yay.
Why?
Well, we reconstitute soon, right? And I am not going to be secretary in the next instantiation.
Well, thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you for
Oh,
your
you're
service.
welcome. You're welcome.
And Stephen, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. We have approved the minutes. Okay, great. Well, let's move on now to discussion with Susan Corbett about the final draft of the Digital Equity and Digital Inclusion Plan. Susan.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. So we got some suggestions for edits from Arlene and from David. They were great. So thank you, Arlene, for catching us on all of that. It certainly went right by me. So I'm going to just pull up the document. I've now done another version, but I'm going to bring that up and we'll go over them together just so everybody can see. So hang on here. Okay, can everybody see? Can everyone see the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, so the first one, David suggested underneath the cost that we put in specifically where we're looking to raise the funds from, so that anyone reading the document, they don't have to refer to the actual budget section. My question is, he put down, we proposed to raise the $10,000 in the FY 2023 town budget. Do you want it to read we? Do you want it to read the committee? Is there, it's more about wordsmithing right now, but I want to make sure we get it right. So welcome.
I think it would be better to say the committee requesting $10,000 for these items from the town.
I like that.
Requesting
The funding for these items from the town. And then we could say as part of the FY 2023 town budget.
Municipal budget. How about
Or
that?
from the municipal budget.
Okay, the committee recommends requesting the funding for these items
From the 2023 FY budget.
Yeah, FY 2023 municipal budget.
Do we want to, I mean, the 10,000 is here, so we good with just saying requesting the funding, or do you want to just say requesting, the committee recommends requesting $10,000?
Well, maybe that's clearer.
Okay. Great.
And then you can take out FY and
Okay.
then town. The first FY.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay,
And then you can take out town as well. So just municipal budget.
got it.
And I don't think you need a slash between FY and 2023.
Okay, how's that?
That looks good to me. How does that look for everyone else?
Great.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
No, so copy that so you can use it.
So for this one, do you want to use the same language, but then change it? Like on this one, you're looking at it through the grants.
Yes. I do think that it would be very important. I can't remember. I don't think we say it anywhere else in here. That who would apply for the grants?
Okay, so let's do some language around this. The committee recommends applying.
I would say the town of Lincolnville. The committee recommends
That the town of Lincolnville applies. Now, are these grants county, state, or federal?
Remember also, we're talking about some of them, maybe not this item, but also going to private to businesses
yes.
and whatnot. So we may want to leave it more general.
Hmm.
The town of Lincolnville seeks
Grant funding.
funding outside of the budget. Seeks funding, including applying for grants and soliciting from local donors and businesses, something like that.
and or maybe or
Lincolnville seeks funding.
Now, just as a question, Josh, if as a select board person, if you saw that, would you say, like, does that mean the town administrator has to research and figure out what grants are available and apply for them? I just think that this is a task for the broadband committee in its next iteration. Now, that doesn't need to be said necessarily in this point, but I just am afraid that if we leave it like this, either, David Kinney or someone else on the board will say, wait a minute, we don't want to take this on.
Right. It could be the committee recommends that funding or that funding for this effort come through grant applications or solicitation of local donors and businesses. Does that?
Well, I think you still have the same thing. Who's doing it, right?
Who's doing it?
Right. So if you did this, recommends that the town of Lincolnville and or the Lincolnville Broadband Committee.
Yeah, I think that's good.
right, seeks funding, including grant funds, to raise the 8257 for these items.
What about I think this is a good start.
Okay.
How about this?
Okay.
Something like the committee recommends that the funding, something like that, the funding comes from grants and or organizations,
Can there
nonprofits.
be in-kind donations? Is that the usual term?
No, because it's not in-kind donations. It's actual money.
It's actual money, okay. We're not
That the
looking-
funds be sought through grant application and a solicitation of local donors and businesses. Okay, right, but who's going to do it? Yeah, funds.
I mean, it could be two sentences.
Well, it could be the town of Lincolnville and the Broadband Committee seeks, you've already got that, seeks funding through grant applications and solicitations.
So here's,
We believe that public and private grant funding is available for these costs. The committee recommends that the town and or the Lincolnville Broadband Committee applies for such funding.
the problem with saying and or the broadband committee is like what happened last time. The select board could feel like the broadband committee is trying to do things they shouldn't do.
Well, that's why we say the town.
Yeah, but adding and or the broadband committee might make some people nervous.
Would be with the town of Lincolnville with the broadband committee? Would that work?
No, it's more like if the Broadband Committee continues to exist, you can have us do this.
Yeah, because we don't actually. Let me think about this.
I mean, my presumption is that they don't want to do any work.
Yes, and that's
So my presumption is if you put the onus on them, then they'll say no.
Mhm.
If you say we simply want you to authorize the broadband committee, should it be renewed,
Mhm.
to make these applications or pursue these funding opportunities. I do think it's two separate sentences. So we're saying first, this money could come from public or private grants. And then second, that the town itself, or if it wishes, authorize the broadband committee to seek such grants
What about recommend such grants?
or recommend such grants.
I think.
Yeah, because we're not official, we can't do anything.
Right.
We can recommend to the town.
And I want to make that clear in this that we recognize that that we're not the one, that it would be improper for us to be applying ourselves, but we are happy to do the legwork. So
I was
saying that,
actually thinking in those terms. Should we just say, we recommend this comes from grant funding and the Broadband Committee is willing to do this? Or is that?
Check out this sentence, see if that fits it. The committee recommends the town of Lincolnville authorizes the broadband committee to apply for grant funds to raise the $8,257 for these items.
I don't think we can say that. The select
Okay.
board never lets anyone apply for grants. They're always the one that.
Yes,
that-
I can attest to that.
as Stephen can very
Isn't-
painfully agree with.
Isn't the, excuse me.
Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
Effectively, the committee would prepare the grants, right? And the town would submit them?
Right.
Okay. Well, that seems straightforward.
Well, we could say with the help of the
To say that
Broadband
the committee prepares them in the town, for submission by the town.
or do it the other way. We suggest that the town apply for grants. I still like and solicit local businesses with the help of the broadband committee. So we
I like
don't have
that,
to
with the
say who
help
does
of-
what.
Like with the help of the broadband committee. So I think this can be one sentence. So
Okay,
Susan, thank you very much, by the way. You're taking a lot of jumbled ideas and
that's okay. We're gonna figure it out, right? And
That's
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah.
Yeah.
collectively, we're a genius. So go ahead.
and that funding come from public and private grants.
So you wanted to start with the funding. How do you want it to start?
Committee recommends that funding for comes from public and private grants. Period. Why don't we just start there, delete the two other ones? I mean, that really sort of distills what we're saying.
The funding for these items just to be parallel with what you had before.
And
Yep.
that would necessitate then that maybe the charge would be from the select board, the charge would be the applying of grants. That's where
Right. Yeah. Right. Researching grants and doing the work. I mean, what I'm hoping is that tonight we will put together a draft charge that we also present to the select board in the same meeting. So we're making it clear that the future committee will do the research to look for those public and private grants.
So you don't need to have that piece in this document, I don't think.
Correct.
Yeah. I maybe that's all we need. Just that sentence. What was Susan? What was the previous way we worded it? Just so we stay consistent.
The other one was the committee recommends raising funds, grant funds for this line item. So you're close, but I think this is better.
Okay.
Right. And for the town one, the committee recommends requesting $10,000
Let's
for
go
those
back to that.
items, for these items in the municipal budget. So if we're going to be parallel, the
Let's
committee
take the
recommends seeking grant funding. Oh, no,
The committee recommends requesting, no,
$10,000 is what you had
yeah,
there.
yeah, there we go. $10,000, right, okay. So that
Okay,
one
so-
looks good. Mhm.
Yeah. So if we can stay consistent with that, so the committee recommends $8,257.
Recommends
Be-
that.
Recommends that. Wait, was that in the previous one?
Recommends, okay, it said requesting in an amount. So the committee recommends seeking $8,257 through public and private seeking. Because they're seeking it in funding from public and private.
Let's look at the one before. Requesting, because this was requesting because you're requesting it from the town.
Okay.
For these
Yeah, seeking
items.
sounds good.
Okay,
We could even perhaps
What?
end it with the committee recommends seeking $8,257 from public and private grants that a future broadband committee finds, researches, uncovers.
We could say just comma, where a future broadband committee can aid in the process or something. To make it clear that if you want us to, we can be available.
I guess aid in the process still feels like we're just lending a helping hand versus being the ones in charge of it.
But I thought we were saying we can't say will be in charge.
Well, be in charge of looking for the
Mm,
grants, not actually applying for them, if that makes sense. Hi, Susan.
Hi, thanks for sharing space,
You're welcome.
Josh.
Yeah, no problem.
recommend seeking,
In the,
Uh,
do you want to say grant research process?
sure. How about that?
I would say public-private grants, comma, and a future broadband committee can aid in the grant, rather than that a is a comma and a future broadband.
I still get Josh's point about aiding. I mean, the committee's going to be doing the work. So
Can be involved.
Again, that's pretty general.
Yeah.
And a future broadband committee will seek out.
And a future broadband committee should be, because that is what we're saying, and a future broadband
Yep.
committee should be something.
I wouldn't say should, because then it sounds like we're telling the select board what to do.
Right.
I'm always
Can
trying
be
to-
charged to can be charged
be charged to pursue the, write the grants, pursue the grants.
They could support the future broadband committee. I just put through the thesaurus stuff to give us some ideas. Can support the grant research process.
future broadband committee can be charged to oversee the grant process. I know oversight is exactly what they do.
Right.
I wouldn't say aid. The broadband committee can perform the grant research process.
That might be the perfect word, Jay. And we're only saying research. Apply. Okay, I think it's perfect.
Okay.
How does everyone else feel? We're not stepping on toes, but we're saying that we'll do the lifting.
Like, to me, when I'm reading this, if I am on the select board, I'm saying you're not dumping this on us.
Yeah.
Right. Just to be parallel, after the 8257, before these items, just to be parallel with the language above.
Okay.
Let me see, for these items.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
close the door. There's no one else coming in now.
Okay, we good to go?
Great. I'm happy.
Okay.
Is everyone else happy with that?
Perfect.
Okay. And Arlene, you can see here that I took out supporting about the piece about distributing devices. So that's out. And all right, so now we're back to this one, which is, this is the one that David thought through business support. So let me make a copy of this and put this underneath it so we don't have to go back and forth. Okay, so the committee recommends seeking these items from business groups.
Do we want to keep it more general? Just public and private grants?
Yep, could use the same language.
That would still
Yep.
encompass business groups.
Okay. How's that?
I think it looks
Okay.
good. How
All
does
right.
everyone else feel?
Excellent.
Okay. All right. Onward to this. So then we have, okay, so here we took out the piece about the library. Just wanted to let Arlene know that.
Okay,
And we can do the same language here. Okay, how's that look?
Great.
Okay. And then the last one, oh, let's go up to the first one and we'll copy that. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, except it's not 10,000. We're all good on that one?
Great.
Oh, do you need a period at the end?
All right. And then there's just a couple more corrections. So here, Arlene, I took out the library here and
Okay.
just left that the town will coordinate with NGEC.
Wait, no, there's
And-
still a Lincolnville library there. The second to last bulletin.
Oh,
Bullet point.
yes, let's,
yeah, the dust. That's, I know that when I was emailing Sheila Polson and we tried to figure out where else that could happen. And Josh, you mentioned this could possibly happen in the town office.
No, not distributing the tablets. We had talked about the telehealth person being the one charged with checking in and out tablets.
Okay,
so I just changed it as a very generic. The tablets are going to be distributed. And we can put here, we can make a note here if you want. We can just leave it as it is. It's sort of just because the details of the plan are going to unfold as you raise the funding. And in this one for the telehealth project, it depends on who the partner is, if Maine General is going to partner and what the process will be around that. So you could just leave it generic.
Okay, what would that look like?
Here, I just took it out here. It's this one.
Okay, and then delete that second to last one at the top. Yeah.
So are we taking out all references to the library? Is that what
Only
we're doing?
only regarding the tablet and the digital navigator.
Yeah, they're happy to hold classes there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Am I missing anything else here on the library? Am I looking right over it?
I don't think we need the tablets. Will be distributed, the tablets, laptops, desktops on an as needed basis. The second to last.
The second to last. Yes, got it. All right, out. Awesome.
Hey,
I believe that's a wrap.
No, page 20.
Oh, okay.
It should say grant and other, it says grant and other funding, at least the one grant other funding, there you go.
should it say grants or grant? Should we?
I think you should go grants.
do we take out the digital navigator? Or is that,
No, we left it in just as a placeholder.
Okay.
That's down here, Arlene.
Oh, and you say for the Lincoln,
Oh, let's just take that out. Yep.
I mean,
Nope, you're right. Let's make sure that's out. And let's just go back and just make sure under the digital navigator section, because that's under public awareness. All right. Oh, that's under budget, sorry. Oh, right, I took out the piece here, it's already taken out about the library. So you're good, it's just a generic, okay.
Great.
Wow,
Is there anything else?
this is great, Susan.
Well, you've
Wonderful.
all done it.
thank you very
I've
much.
just coached you.
And wrote the whole thing and know exactly what's going on with all this stuff. Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to change, or are we ready to lock
we have
down the digital equity and digital inclusion
We
plan?
have the mission statement.
Oh, right, we had talked about whether or not you wanted to add in a preface here.
Is that something, I thought that was something that maybe Josh and you were going to do, or?
Yeah, you know what, Josh, I was gonna send you the one we did for Mount Vernon.
All right. Yeah.
So let me do that, and then if you get the, you can, whatever the committee, we put it together and whatever the committee wants to do, sign off on it, we'll insert that in. It will go in right after the cover page, before the appendix.
Okay.
And then you're going to be good to go.
Okay. Great.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good job, everybody.
You too.
Perfect, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's quite a process to go through, isn't it?
It is, yeah, to make it fit for our town.
Mhm,
But also
mhm.
the way you have these specifics, I think, is really valuable because it turns it in. Now I understand what it means to talk about digital equity. In fact, I can give you five areas in which it's.
I was talking to one of the county regional broadband partners today, and I said, one of the things that happens in this process is the education that occurs among committee members, right?
Mhm.
As you start to learn what exactly are we talking about and why is it important. So you guys all nailed it. I think, congratulations are in order. And
You taught. I mean, yeah, we learned, but you taught. So thank you.
that's my job. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
You are so welcome. I will get that right off to you, Josh, and then we'll get this all buttoned up, and you'll have a document that you can send off and get the town to come on board with you.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
Everybody
Have a
have a
great
good
night.
holiday, and we'll
Happy
chat with you
holidays.
soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
So Josh, to be
Um,
clear, how are you going to handle that? Are you just going to write something and submit it, or we're not going to meet again, right? Or
We're not going to meet again, so I'm going to look at the. I don't have a specific idea in mind, but Susan's going to send me what another town used, and
yeah,
and I'll take a crack at it and send that to the committee, and we'll go from there.
we the people, the broadband committee, in order to form a more perfect town of Lincolnville. Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is we wanted it to be a living document. In other words, that,
Yes, and I think we've beaten it to death.
No, Arlene's right. The point was to make an introductory statement that's saying it will be a living document.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's touch on the Axiom final report. I know it's been a while and most of it no longer is applicable.
That's- right.
It's a nice document we'll be presenting. Some of the things that Mark discussed, which were really hot button issues, have been resolved in terms of offering symmetrical, dropping the phone line. So it's kind of nice that there are items in that we don't have to worry about anymore. Is there anything that sticks out in the feasibility study that we want to talk about?
I
Deafening
forgot how skeptical. I forgot how skeptical we were about working with LCI.
are they going to be submitting a, what is it called? The last mile grant? Is that something they're looking at?
Yes. So did everyone read the news coverage on Appleton Select Board's issue with LCI?
I didn't.
No,
Okay, so a few weeks ago, I wonder if I can find it. Yeah. A few weeks ago, they were planning on submitting this grant with LCI, and Alan Hinsey did not show up to the meeting because he was sick. And the select board, they were very, very upset about it. And LCI said that if you want us to submit this grant, then you need to pay for half of the $700 per subscriber. And I think the grant was for 40 people who don't have fiber in Appleton. And that is not a requirement from the MCA that the town provides a matching fund. It's LCI's requirement that if you want to work with them, then the town has to pay for half of that $700 per subscriber that the grant covers. So I think a week later, Alan Hinsey went into a meeting and they agreed, and Appleton agreed to that stipulation. So, and Alan said that this is the stipulation that they are requiring from every town that wants to work with them on this latest round of grant funding. So
what is the stipulation they require from everybody?
That the town pays half of the $700 per subscriber part of the grant.
That's the installation fee, or
a requirement of these come from MCA?
No. And in the article, MCA confirms that the town doesn't have to pay a dime, but LCI is saying if you want us to do it, then you need to pay for half of it.
Oh, that would be interesting too. So who is the money coming from?
The town. The town is from their ARPA funds.
From their, okay. So that's where the 700 that the town has to contribute comes from.
Half of 700.
And the other half comes from
LCI.
So the town is basically saying we want the town to contribute half of their ARPA funds.
LCI said that, yes.
And the LCI said that, and we, LCI, will pay the other half if you do that.
Yeah.
So that is pressuring the town to use those funds for internet.
Right.
Which, of course, is what the guidance was from the federal government to begin with.
That the town helps pay.
Yeah, I mean, LCI is strong arming it sounds like, but it is what the money was intended for by the feds.
Mm-hmm.
what what is the $700? That's the installation fee, or what is the
That's the
$700?
that's the match for applying for the MCA grant.
Yeah, but his question is a good one, which is that for the installation fee, or is that to help defray ongoing monthly charges?
I don't actually know. Let's look together. MCA.
You're saying in the grant, there's a requirement of $700 per subscriber.
Yeah, and they don't care who pays that $700.
Right. ISP financial, it must be at least. Ah. So what they're saying is that the grant will be to cover installation less 700 per location. So if the location is $600, the grant's not going to give you anything. If the location installation if the line extension to a location is $1,000, they'll figure you get 300, something like that.
So am I reading this correctly that this line extension grant is specifically to run the fiber to these homes?
That's what line extension means to me. My question is, why are we talking about this? This is what happened in Appleton. And we are, afraid that they're going to say the same thing to Lincolnville?
Well, they're going
They did
to.
say the same thing.
They said specifically, this is what we're asking from every town.
Well, but that's why the Lincolnville Select Board said they would take over direct negotiation with LCI. It's not our problem, it's the Select Board's problem.
It's true, but Arlene asked a question. So.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
why we're talking
the answer is it's not our problem.
Arlene, does that answer your question?
I just wanted to know if they were applying for the grant. That's all.
Yeah, so they'll approach us. Or we've been trying to get in touch with them before that next round of funding, which is in February. So yes, we are working on that, and we should expect that to be the stipulations.
But can I just ask, is there any ARPA money left, or
Yes.
in
Oh,
Lincolnville?
yeah.
We spent the first half on lowering taxes, and then we haven't touched the second half. So we still have like $110,000.
Which is way more than enough, given the small number of unserved households in Lincolnville.
Yeah.
What
But it
is
seems-
that number?
110,000. Oh, how many are unserved?
Yeah,
Did we say 400?
I think it's something like that.
I think it's about 400.
And that's going to cover people with a 2-mile long private driveway. Do we know?
Well, that I don't know. I don't know, and I don't think it was in the Axiom study what the cost to serve every home. But remember, there's never 100% take rate. You know, you're
You have to
lucky.
agree.
You're lucky if there's a 50% take rate.
Mhm.
So we're assuming if the gross number is 400, it certainly is going to be some number less than that of people who actually want it.
Yeah. But the grant's not. Well, I'm just curious how the grant works out, because it's not like LCI is going to all these houses and asking for a contract. So how does they apply for X number of homes? How does the state determine how much to give them?
Well, I think, when we come to the conversation, which is a substantive conversation about whether there should be a Lincolnville Broadband Committee 4.0, this is 3.0 right now,
Mhm.
whether there should be a 4.0, we already know that all of the stuff we're talking about in the digital equity plan would theoretically fall within the responsibility of that committee, applying for the grants, doing the training,
Mhm.
helping people fill in their applications for the BEAD subsidies,
Yeah.
right? there's another big chunk of work, and then of course the big chunk of work that the select board has already said it's taking on is negotiating directly with LCI, which includes the subject we're now talking about.
Yeah.
Then there's a third chunk of work, which is take rate, which is, you know, I mean, the take rate is the single biggest variable that affects pricing. So I think that when the select board, at some point in the conversation, when you are making, or when you and Steve are making the report to the select board as a whole about should there be a broadband committee 4.0, and if so, what should its charge be?
Mhm.
The easy part we've identified, right? The digital equity plan.
Yeah.
The part that I think remains to be discussed is who would be, who would take the lead on the education and the marketing to try to maximize the take rate. Because if LCI doesn't do that, I mean, I would think that naturally it should be LCI because they're the ones who have the most to gain by having the take rate increase, right? That increases their number of customers.
Yeah.
But if for some reason, particularly if the customers that are not taking it are low-end customers who are of least value to LCI, I can imagine LCI also saying, no, we, you know, will serve whoever wants to be served, but we're not going to go out and market this beyond what we've already done, because the people who already want it and can afford it have it in Lincolnville. So I could see them washing their hands of those who don't have it and can't afford it. So the question then would be, is that anybody's responsibility? And I would personally say that since the Broadband Committee's goal and purpose from the beginning has been specifically to help those who are least able to either afford it or apply themselves, that we should be trying to help that final 400 people, as many of them as we, or 400 venues, some of them are multifamily, you know, get served.
Yeah.
And so that is a substantive conversation about what should be in the charge of the next broadband committee.
Well, that's the next agenda item.
Amazing.
So
what is the BEAD grant you mentioned in passing just before we go on to that?
Broadband equity access something. It's the subsidized connectivity fee that you know, has just been given by community.
Okay.
Maine got $5.5 million. It's the most recent, and that's specifically for, you know, it's like a heating oil subsidy. It's specifically for those who are below a certain income level and can't afford it.
And what you're saying is that we could help people pursue that because LCI might not want to bother. Okay.
okay, so if there's nothing else on the Axiom report, then
So you'll submit the action report as is as part of our work.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, okay, before we leave this agenda item, do we want to invite Mark to present it? I feel like that's wasting his time.
I think it's
frankly.
wasting his time.
And I don't want to waste his time.
It's
I think
wasting
you
the
should
board's time too.
Select board that he's available should they request.
Okay.
And the same is true with Susan, by the way. You know, we've been the intermediaries, but the select board is the real client.
Mhm.
So if they want to talk to either of them, of course, that's can be arranged.
Okay. Great. Okay. So let's move on to the new charge for broadband 4.0, which first of all, why don't we settle on a proposed name? How do we feel about digital equity and digital inclusion committee? Is that a mouthful? Do we want it to be broadband committee again, or it seems like this is going to be pretty focused on implementing this plan?
I like that idea, Josh. I like making it a different name. I mean, I would say to them, we've made a lot of progress.
Mhm.
And here's all the stuff we've done. I mean, I think part of the report is a recap of broadband committees 1, 2, and now 3. And we're now at the stage of evolution where, based on all the work we've done and the outside professional technical advisors we've had, that we see the need to be more focused on digital equity and inclusion.
Mhm.
And so that's the main purpose or mission of the next incarnation of whatever we call this. We can call it, 4.0 for short, but we can have the longer name be the Lincolnville Digital Equity and Inclusion Committee.
But we will be doing things other than just the digital equity and inclusion part. I mean, we have, if we are selling to the wider audience, is everything going to be just part of that?
I mean, that's digital inclusion,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, helping people who can't afford it, helping do the education, helping people fill in the forms.
So everything else has been offloaded to the select board, and
Exactly.
that's all that remains.
Right. We're no longer seeking grants with LCI. That's the select board. We're no longer looking to build out a system or researching different technologies for broadband. We've moved on from all that. So it seems like this is really what's left.
And if things fell apart with the LCI, they'd have to constitute a new committee to look at broadband options. It wouldn't be
Wouldn't be part of our.
Well, I mean, things
because
can't
we can't
fall
make
apart.
that charge right now. Things haven't
No.
fallen apart, so we can't have that charge at this point. So yeah.
No, but it's things are not going to fall apart with LCI. There are two cases. One case is that everything goes on as currently it exists, which is LCI being a unregulated monopoly with zero input from the town, including zero co-application for grant funds. That's what's behind door number 1.
Mhm.
And door number 2 is the converse of that the town and LCI would jointly apply for appropriate grants to extend the network. And if the town is a great negotiator, which I'm confident that they are, then they will be able to exact some quid pro quo from LCI for that. Like they're going to improve their service, they're going to answer the phone, they might even reduce their prices so they're not the most expensive internet service provider in America for the lowest speeds. It's sort of like CMP. There's a lot of upside when you're number 50 out of 50.
Right.
So,
I wasn't looking for prediction so much as there's nothing else we could put in the mission now, right? There's nothing we could put in the charge that is broader than digital equity and digital inclusion, because the only other things I can think of are basically starting the process over again. And you can't put that in the charge because there's no reason to. So
Yeah. If one of us can think of something important relating to broadband and digital inclusion for this charge, please speak up.
Well, let me ask a question. If LCI chooses door number 0, where does that leave digital inclusion?
It doesn't really change what we're doing. It just means that I mean, a lot of people in Lincolnville who don't have fiber still have DSL, right? And so digital inclusion still involves education and that can be accessed through a
So,
slower service.
so in that case, would the committee be once again looking for grants that don't include LCI's participation?
No, I don't see any reality where the town is looking for expanding internet service without LCI at this point.
Okay.
It's just everything's been exhausted. It seems.
We've got telehealth in our digital equity report. Is that sort of more broadband than digital inclusion? I don't, just the words.
Well, I
I
know
mean,
that.
digital inclusion can be so broad to mean everything that broadband means, I guess.
Well, it's inclusion because it's, yeah, I would say it's inclusion because it's a tool that people use on the internet right now, and there are a lot of residents in our town who perhaps don't know that's an option. So they're being included in that way. So I've got the current draft of the digital equity and digital inclusion plan in front of me. It's on a different computer, so I can't share my screen. But I'm thinking for the proposed charge, which of course the select board is always welcome to either deny it or change it how they see fit. But I'm looking at the big numbers, so that would be starting with number one, create an awareness campaign for residents to alert them of the FCC ACP program and help them access free classes to help them sign up for the program. But say it in a shorter way, but just basically go down this list. So can we do that? Just sort of go down the high points and see if that covers what we think the charge should cover. How does that sound?
You're saying it should match the sections of the report.
At the least, yeah. I would say everything in the report, and then maybe more if we think that's important to include.
You can't just
Can you
incorporate it by reference. You have to actually repeat all the words.
can you read the old charge? I don't know what these charges should sound like, how long they should be in.
They're pretty short. Let me bring up the old charge. I mean, it has to have.
I have it too.
Okay. Okay, so this is the original charge from 2021. Number one, elect a chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. Two, submit minutes of each meeting to the town office, blah, blah, blah. Three, interview feasibility consultant applicants and recommend to the Board of Selectmen those that seem most qualified. Four, oversee work of feasibility consultant, including joint interim efforts that may include community meetings as well as community help. Five, forward with comment the feasibility study recommendations. Six, move forward with any select board recommendations or supplemental charge arising from five. Provide regular updates in addition to committee minutes. I mean, I suppose we could simply, the charge could say implement the items laid out in the digital equity and digital inclusion plan. I mean, we don't have to. We could just do it. It could just be that simple.
I mean, all this stuff, I'm looking at the current charge.
Yeah.
The bit about electing a chairman and submitting minutes, that we could have continuing. And then the third thing could be the implementation, the one thing that it says in the current charge, which has 9 items.
Yeah.
The last item in the current charge is make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen as to what course of action the committee believes is in the best interest of the town as a whole. Make a recommendation. Item 8, coordinate education and outreach.
Yeah, we could say further the further digital equity and digital inclusion in Lincolnville, including but not limited to the whatever the points made in the report, the content of the report submitted. And we could actually list, like you said, the 5 things, but not limited to just the recommendations from the report, colon, and then the 5 categories.
Mhm. What does everyone else think about that?
So basically, the charges about education are something that we're continuing.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about the previous charges, frankly. I would just think about what we feel needs to be done now. I can't think of any recommendations to give to the digital equity and digital inclusion plan is the recommendation.
Well, then maybe that's what the charges are to be derived.
To execute on the digital equity and inclusion plan as attached.
It could, it really could just be that simple. We have elect a chair, vice chair, all of that. So besides executing on the digital equity and digital inclusion plan, are there other proposed additions to this draft charge that we'd like to include?
Yes, they should draft a whole bunch of new people to be on the next committee.
Okay. Because we're all tired.
Because we're all kind of tired.
Now, what about the marketing piece that we consider that inclusion? The marketing piece that Steve, you were so eloquently signing us up for.
I mean, you could presume it is implicit as opposed to explicit.
Yeah.
In other words, the reason why you are doing these, applying for grant subsidies and doing this education and helping people fill out applications, obviously is to include those not currently served, which does increase the take rate. Or if people think we could be explicit and say, it's just the difficulty I have with it is take rate is a term that inures to the benefit of the corporation providing the service.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't have the feeling of inuring to the benefit of the citizen.
Unless it was a municipally owned system.
Right.
Well, this is why I like not just saying executing the plan, but furthering or whatever it is, enhancing or bringing forward the digital equity inclusion, including executing the increasing
the availability of the best available broadband.
Well, I was trying to tie it in with the plan. In other words, increasing the equity and inclusion, including executing the plan as attached. The idea being, we're saying the broader goal is, and one of the tools we will use it's not that different. It just gives us a little more leeway to do something that's outside the plan. Not that anybody's going to be looking at the plan and saying,
hold on, what are you doing? It's not in the plan. Yeah. If I would say, if we wanted to include that, to have it as a second line, I guess I feel like the plan is so important and comprehensive as it is, it should be its own chart. It should be its own line.
So Stephen's,
I mean, it is an
yeah.
equity issue. I mean, we're,
Yeah, absolutely. So Stephen, could you repeat that, please? In charge form.
Probably not.
increasing the availability of something broad, of adequate, of
That
It
increasing
needs to be more tangible, though.
the
working
penetration,
to increase.
increasing the penetration of best available broadband to the largest number of residents desiring such access.
Lincolnville residents. Increasing the penetration of best available broadband to the largest number of Lincolnville residents desiring such access. How do we feel about that? Committee members.
Penetration to the largest number.
can you ask me like in mid-January rather than now? No,
Increasing the penetration
yeah, I think
of
it's,
best available broadband to Lincolnville residents. I don't think we have to be.
yeah.
I think it's too long, yeah.
So it's,
Working to increase the penetration of best available broadband to Lincolnville residents.
so the intent of that statement is to include the people that may not be necessarily contained in the digital equity and inclusion envelope. Is that it? Is that the intent?
I guess
the intent is to say we might do more than what is written in the document. But we're specifically saying, right, one direction in which we do more.
Okay, so it's trying to pull in a larger domain than just what's written. I'm fine with that.
I'm not, well,
But it's not clear, yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna have to probably be the one to defend it for them to say, what are you talking about? And every item on the charge should be able to say what it is and is it accomplished? Yes or no, I guess. Working to increase.
Well, increase means we have a baseline.
Yeah.
We know that there are, whatever the number is in Axiom's report, 400 people who do not have, or 400 locations in the town that do not have even the currently available broadband. Forget about better than.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So if we got 5 more people, then we would have made progress. That's quantifiable.
We're really talking about aiding in efforts to increase the penetration. The point is that LCI is going to be trying to get people signed up, and we're saying we can.
Yes.
Well, does Stephen's statement include effectively identify the underserved in addition to the unserved that are covered by the plan? If somebody's got broadband now but doesn't qualify for the digital inclusion and they want to get up to 100 over 100, we want to help them, right? I mean, is that the type of audience that you're identifying?
Yeah, anybody who doesn't have the best available service and wants it.
Right. Okay.
There will always be people who don't want it, but we know that there is some number, less than 400. There are some number of people who don't now have it, which if you helped them be able to afford it, help them apply for the benefit and get the benefit, taught them about the benefits, including telehealth, there's some number of people who would want it.
See, everything you just said is included in the digital equity and digital inclusion
Yes,
plan. So
yes,
why do we
yes.
need?
Well, I agree with that. I agree. I'm not sure we need to add anything beyond that. I agree with you.
All right.
I don't like.
Well,
I
I would,
think
I'm
I would say,
happy.
I would say don't add anything, and then if the next committee wants to push the envelope, then so be it.
Right.
I
right,
think it's we already have quite a blueprint here to work with.
right. And we've worked very hard on making the plan clear in terms of its action items.
Right.
So we shouldn't reword all of that we just went through.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
the grant funding, we say in the report, we recommend that the next committee work on grant funding. Do we have to
Yeah.
repeat that here? It's enough that we say it in the report, I suppose.
I think it's enough that it's in the report.
And those grants, those are specific things, like the BEAD grant, for instance, isn't in the report. But we're saying our efforts to help people with the BEAD grant are covered under the notion of somewhere in the report. Yeah.
As long as it's one of the items that we said we want to fund through public and private grants. Is there anything else we want to include in this proposed charge? So I was wondering how many people in this meeting want to be on this new committee. I see a lot of chuckling.
Can I ask a point of order question first?
Yeah.
One, can you remind me again of the calendar of when you're proposing this? And two, what is the request for the lifespan of the 4.0?
Well, considering a lot of this funding is referencing FY 2023, which, if the select board included that, would pass in June. I mean, those components we wouldn't start until then. I don't know. I mean, so
that's an important question, because this committee expires next week.
Technically, it expired a while ago because the select board didn't pass an updated charge.
Okay.
But yeah.
So there's some period of time between now and June when there would be no existing funding. Or is that true? Don't we still have leftover money?
We have some funds, yeah. And there's ARPA funds. But we are referencing FY 2023 here. That doesn't mean...
Yeah, but the first 2 quarters of next year is when a lot of the MCA money is going to be applied for and made available.
Yeah.
Lincolnville should not be out of the game until June.
Well, hold on. What in our plan would be eligible for MCA funding?
Well, it's everything. I mean, there will be, whether it's foundations, main community foundation,
Yeah.
or whether it's the existing BEAD money. There's all of this stuff is happening now.
Yeah.
So as a practical matter,
We shouldn't wait, right?
we shouldn't be out of the game for 6 months.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if the fiscal year doesn't start.
Yeah.
So the request to the select board is that it should be, continued seamlessly, and it should be at least, 12, the calendar year. We're at the end of the calendar year. It should be continued for the next calendar year, calendar 2023. At least, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Arlene, you were going to say something.
Oh, I just, I guess I want to, with this, as it goes through, it has to go through the budgetary process, correct, Josh? Any requests we make? It
Yeah.
would have to go through the budget committee would look at it.
That's
that-
right. Yeah,
Well, not the reauthorization of the committee.
not that.
No, I'm just talking about the funding.
Unless it's something,
I'm asking that because I know that, in the past, they've had special town meetings to.
we're actually about to have one next month for a number of items. So the select board can always call a special town meeting. But Stephen, to your point, I believe the Broadband Committee still has a few $1,000s.
I thought that too.
So that could be used at any time.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait for the
I mean,
budget meeting.
especially for some little things that we've talked about,
Yeah.
like having, cookies and coffee at a
Right.
teach-in.
Right.
We can still do that in March or February.
Right.
Without waiting for a new budget.
Right. So I would recommend that we request from the select board that they pass this updated charge as soon as possible. So that basically, I mean, I could even, if I drafted it, I could even have it in the next packet for the board. They wouldn't pass it at the next meeting, but perhaps soon, early into 2023, to have it start basically as soon as enough members showed interest, and then they could get started. So that's what I think. And I do agree that it should last at least a year until the end of 2023. But does anyone here want to serve on that committee? I'm just curious.
No, but I will, because I've been in it from the beginning and we're making progress.
Mhm.
I would love it not to. I would love it if there were other people who wanted to take over now, but I don't see a flood of people wanting to do that.
Mhm.
I do think we should advertise it again. I do think we should
Yeah.
change the name of it.
Yeah.
I think we should kind of be proud of what's already been accomplished, so it's clear to people what they're signing on for the next stage of evolution of this work, which is very different than what we've done so far.
Mhm.
This is much more hands-on now.
Yeah.
Much
It's
more kind of
Theoretical.
it's much less theoretical and much
Yeah.
more, we're still going to have you as our chairman until June.
I don't know about that.
Well, we can't all not do it. I mean, nobody wants to do it. Who wants to do it? Nobody
Mike
wants to.
Ray says that he's interested in joining. So Mike will come back, perhaps. Hopefully Steve Han will stay on it. Jordan, I'm not sure. He was supposed to be here.
No, Jordan has not shown up for the last few meetings. But would any of you keep going now, knowing what it is we're actually working on? I mean, I think we have a good thing going. It would be great if all of us, at least on this call, would agree to, sir, it's sort of one for all for one, that sort of thing, kind of.
Yeah, so I can't hear the connection. Is I have to think about it a little bit. I am interested in some of the telehealth stuff.
No, we don't need a commitment from anyone right now, so I'm not committing to it. But I was just curious, just to get the temperature of the room.
Okay, clearly, if none of us do it, it doesn't happen.
Well, the
I
other,
don't-
the
Sorry,
other
go ahead.
part of this is there's two other, well, there's the Comprehensive Plan Committee, and then there's the Heart and Soul Committee, which the Heart and Soul Committee is part of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, and that is looking at what we love about the town. I did ask them if digital inclusion and equity could be in it, but that has to come from the people that they query or they ask about. It can't be something they impose on them. However, in the comprehensive plan, there is broadband. So that there might be some crossover. I don't know. Susan Silverio said, have you talked to her at all about this, Josh?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So I'm just saying that might be, that's something, I think they're putting the plan together for 2024. and the heart and soul, what they find, what they do with that will inform the comprehensive plan. But I did talk to somebody who's on the committee who said that, you know, digital inclusion and digital equity is something that they, you know, might be included in within that plan. So I'm just trying to think of crossovers, how that
Okay.
might, you know,
I
dovetail.
think we also underestimate how convincing it could be to write on the bulletin board and talk to our neighbors about Broadband 4.0 is about directly helping residents in Lincolnville that don't know how to use the tools.
Yeah, and if we list some of the specific tasks,
Yes,
we're
exactly.
looking
make it
for
less scary.
people who would come and have an hour training to help others fill in applications for grants. We're looking, for people who would, help organize the classes
Exactly.
that we're going to be offering or that will be offered through NDEC.
Yeah.
The more specific we can be, I mean, the things that people are not going to probably want to do are the things like researching grant opportunities and applying and putting together grant applications.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a lot less sexy, and
Yeah.
but we should be able to find, some new blood to join,
Mhm.
especially if we're specific about the tasks.
Right. We're no longer trying to analyze broadband options. It's not the same technical effort that was before. It's more a
Exactly.
human effort.
Right.
And I claim credit for having brought in Mike and Arlene. And so somebody.
That doesn't get you out of this, does it? Is that credit?
No, I have chips. I do, Michael. Those are my chips, and I'm not giving them up. Okay, what else?
All right, so action items. So I'm gonna draft this charge, and it's basically just gonna say, I guess there's a preamble, so I'll write a preamble, and basically have one charge on it, which is to execute on the digital equity and digital inclusion plan as attached, and then have the charge continue until 2023. And yeah, I'll send that to the committee before I send it to David Kinney.
And
So
Yeah.
when town would vote on it? I mean, the
Um,
select board?
The hope would be early in January, not the next meeting. I don't see that happening.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
we're gonna have a mission statement on the equity plan.
Yes. Does anyone here have a burning desire to write that mission statement with the example that Susan is going to send to me? Stephen?
I have a burning desire to have you write it.
Can I use my newborn as a chip, as an excuse?
No, I think it's, at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're putting him back to sleep is a perfect time for you to think about it.
Oh, and the gift is from Bella Luna.
We're all too old to do this. You're a parent. We've all been there, done that.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had a charge that a mission statement I could have written at 3 in the morning when I was walking Nola around in figure eights trying to get her to go to sleep.
Oh.
Yes, we did a lot of that.
Okay, well, I will write that and write the proposed charge and send that to the committee. I think that's it.
Okay, well, we come to the next select board meeting to present this stuff, but not the charge. The charge is saying will be voted on.
The charge as well. I think it's
But
best
they
to
won't
have
vote on it at that point, is what you're saying.
I mean, maybe they would vote on it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I really don't see why they wouldn't. It's the charge is saying we want to sign up for more.
All of
More
this
free
is
work.
all of this is well established. This is the 4.0, so it's not like this is a new effort.
Right.
And I assume these minutes go to you and that's it. I mean, they're not going to go, there's no meeting to approve them or anything when I'm done with this.
Oh, that's a good question. I guess so. Yeah.
It just gets submitted however you submit the other ones. And
No one ever checks if the minutes are actually approved, but they are approved.
Well, it's been a pleasure serving with you all.
thank you,
I'm
Steve.
sure we'll see you at the select board meeting.
Yeah, please attend in person or virtually.
Okay,
That'll be the 27th, Tuesday, the 27th at 6 p.m.
is that link is the same for all the meetings, correct?
It is, yeah. If it does change, then it would be on the agenda for that meeting,
Okay.
which
You
you
said
can
6
find on the calendar.
6 p.m.
Yep, on Tuesday, the 27th.
Monday is a holiday.
That's right.
Well,
All right. Any non-agenda items?
Well, I want to thank everybody for their hard work and for their words. And it's been an education for me in many ways. And I thank you. I hope that all goes well with 4.0. Thank you.
Yeah. Very much look forward to continuing to working together. And thank you also for our treats, by the way.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hearing the charge was really interesting because I forgot how we started with a couple of proposals we had to choose between. It has been a lot of work. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. And this is just 3.0. I mean, not to mention
Yeah, I'm
1.0
sorry I
and
missed 1 and
2.0.
2.
I think my contribution of one word tonight about sums up the way things go here. I hope to help with another word sometime.
So do you need a motion to adjourn?
I do, yeah.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
moved by Stephen.
I'll second it.
Second.
I haven't seconded anything.
Oh, okay. Seconded by Michael.
Thank you for
And-
your great notes, Michael.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Please.
Right,
Hey,
we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Steve.
everyone.
Okay. Thanks,
Stephen,
all.
I hope I get to meet your mom, even if I can't attend the thing you were talking about. We'll figure that out.
Great.